All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're zooming in on a fascinating, totally dynamic ecosystem that is living right now inside your own body. We're going to take a really close look at an area of human biology that fundamentally dictates our overall health, our immune system, and even our weight. And the crazy part, it's completely invisible to the naked eye.
But first, think about how we usually talk about this part of the body. We throw the word gut around pretty cavalierly in everyday language. We talk about having a gut feeling or trying to gut it out when things get tough, right? We might even say a sudden tragedy feels like a literal punch in the gut. Actually, back in ancient times, the abdominal organs were thought to be the absolute center of all our human emotions. So, the crucial point here is moving past all those familiar idioms to understand the actual biological reality. It's kind of unfortunate that we use the word gut so casually, because it really minimizes its true importance. We aren't just talking about a feeling. We're talking about a vital set of organs that dictates our digestion, manufactures essential nutrients, develops our immune system, and wards off microbial predators.
Section 1. The anatomy of our gut.
Okay, so right after the stomach, we hit the small intestine. It's about 10 feet long, heavily focused on absorbing nutrients, and its Latin names actually give us a pretty fun, literal map of its structure. The duodenum translates to an intestine that's exactly 12 fingers in length. The jejunum literally means empty, mostly because early anatomists assumed it was completely empty after death. And the ileum refers to the flank, which just points to its location right down near your hip bone.
And there is a really stark anatomical contrast going on here. The small intestine is highly acidic from stomach acid and bile, making it pretty sterile and inhospitable. But as soon as we cross over into the large intestine, the colon, the entire environment flips. It suddenly becomes this moist, 98-degree incubator packed with absolutely billions of microorganisms. This is where the real biological magic happens.
Section 2. Meet your gut microbiome. Now, we actually begin cultivating this inner community the exact moment we're born, and it's influenced by everything from how we were delivered to the very first skin flora we encounter. Historically, science kind of dismissed these guys as insignificant freeloaders. But now we know these billions of interacting bacteria, yeast, archaea, and viruses form a highly customized, incredibly dynamic biome within every single one of us.
Just to put their immense influence into some perspective for you, humans share about 99.9% identical DNA with one another, giving us roughly 22,000 genes. But our collective gut microbiota, they possess a staggering 3.3 million genes. That's 150 times as many genes as our own chromosomes hold. And it's exactly what allows them to metabolize nutrients that our human bodies simply can't process on their own.
Section 3. The human culture medium. Okay. This leads to a massive paradigm shift regarding how much daily control we actually have over this ecosystem. To really get it, let's look at a clinical microbiology lab for a second. Scientists use something called a culture medium, which is full of specific nutrients like soy broth or solid agar to intentionally grow targeted bacteria. Basically, they control exactly who flourishes and who dies.
And here is the crazy realization. Your colon is essentially an enormous living culture medium. And the lab technician? Well, it's you. Your diet acts as the technician. Every single time you eat, you're supplying nutrients to host microbes, actively dictating who thrives down there. Just like a lab tech might add antibiotics to a petri dish to isolate a resistant bug, the medications we take act as powerful selective pressures inside our own gut.
So, literally every bite of food and every medication forces a health consequence. Let's say you have a diet high in white sugar. That feeds Streptococcus mutans, which then creates an acidic environment that erodes your tooth enamel. On the flip side, eating complex carbohydrates feeds saccharolytic bacteria, and they help maintain your colon's healthy mucus lining. Even trace antibiotics from livestock can disrupt our flora, altering appetite hormones like leptin and driving weight gain. When fed right, our microbiome even synthesizes vital nutrients for us, like vitamins B5, B12, and K2.
But what happens when things go wrong? When that delicate balance is broken, we enter a state called dysbiosis. Take C. diff, for example. Normally, it's just a passive, harmless inhabitant of the colon. But if antibiotics wipe out all the healthy colon flora, those antibiotic-resistant C. diff spores suddenly survive. Without their usual healthy competition keeping them in check, they germinate. So a previously docile microbe transforms into a vicious pathogen. It's all about ecological advantage.
Section 4. Our Immune System Alliance.
So, you might be wondering, with billions of potentially dangerous bugs chilling inside us, how does our immune system not just freak out and attack everything? Well, it turns out we need them just as much as they need us. Scientists have studied mice raised in completely germ-free, gnatobiotic environments and found they have severely deficient immune systems. But if you infuse them with a gut microbiome, their immune responses completely normalize. Our gut bacteria are actively training our immune cells.
To maintain this peaceful coexistence, our body relies on a really delicate good cop, bad cop chemical crosstalk. We use a protective layer of mucosa, basically mucus, to physically trap bacteria, alongside epithelial cells locked tightly together to block their entry. Right beneath that wall is the lamina propria, which is packed with immune cells constantly secreting targeted IgA antibodies. These antibodies are absolute lifesavers. They neutralize rogue microbes without triggering harmful whole-body inflammation, keeping the bacteria safely contained where they belong.
One standout example of this incredible alliance is Bacteroides theta. Let's just call it B theta for short. Out of nearly 1,000 different species living in the human gut, B theta all by itself makes up a massive 6% of our gut volume. What's truly amazing about B theta is that it acts almost like a gland. It sends chemical signals directly to our colon cells, essentially commanding them to produce the exact mucus layer that protects us. Talk about teamwork.
Section 5. Eating for two.
Once you really grasp this ancient, evolutionary alliance, it completely changes how we should view modern health and our daily meals. We see its importance in cutting-edge interventions like fecal microbiota transplantation, which physically restores bacterial balance in those chronic C. diff patients we talked about earlier. But on a daily level, we can support this symbiosis through probiotics, prebiotics, and eating an ancestral diet, one that's abundant in the fiber our bodies and our bugs specifically evolved to process together.
So, wrapping up this explainer, here's your biggest takeaway. Every single time you sit down for a meal, you aren't just feeding yourself. You are the lab technician of your own body, intentionally cultivating an incredibly complex inner ecosystem. Knowing that you literally hold the power to shape this microscopic world with every bite you take, are you ready to truly start eating for two?